Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about your relationships. Not the one with that crusty guy that you need to break up from and with, anyways. We're going to be talking about a relationship that you need to leave behind. So, when we think about relationships, we think about having an emotional attachment to something. That can be an item, that can be a person, that can be your sense of self, that can be with yourself. It can be with an animal. Relationships don't revolve around dating or romantic purposes only. You can be in a relationship without even knowing it. And the first one that we need to talk about today, whenever you're listening to that, is your relationship with food. Baby. Now, if you're wondering, why are you even talking about that? Let's jump into it first because you have every right to ask that question. Behind me, you see this diploma of certification from my fitness training and the personal training certification that I got. Before starting to coach people into fitness, I myself dealt with anorexia, bulimia, and these eating disorders that are creeping onto you. And before you realize it, they really take a full toll on yourself. And nobody's really going out there thinking, I'm going to start having a relationship with food. I'm going to start having a dismissive relationship with my body. Nobody is out there thinking, I'm going to destroy myself consciously. Although subconsciously sometimes a lot of people find pleasure in harming themselves in that way. And I'm saying that because I know that I did for a fact. Now, when we're listing all of these characteristics, the main thing you need to understand before we jump into the topic is that I was anorexic, I was bulimic, I got out of these 2 eating disorders. They lasted for 5 years combined, and it took me 3 years after that to completely quit my relationship with food. And this is exactly the topic of today. How come we have an emotional attachment, an emotional relationship with food, and the way that we treat food, and the way that we feel towards our portions, the type of foods that we're eating? And so along the way, I'll be giving you some tips here and there. But the main thing to understand is, please, when you're jumping into this, I want you to keep in mind that whatever's going on in your life right now, you are not alone. And if I made it out of 2 eating disorders, and I don't count calories anymore, I don't think about these things anymore, I can literally eat what I want and feel great, then you are capable of that too. So before anything, if you only have a 5 minute to give me today, I want it to be a 5 minute of you feeling like you will make it out of it alive. And if you need someone to chat with, send me an email, send me a DM, join my Discord, come and chat with us, join me on Twitch. We are building a community where people are actually able to discuss these things and not feel judged for it and not feel different for it. Because if I'm standing here today saying this, one day it will be your story as well. At least I hope. So, where do I start with this? Because this is also kind of like a podcast style episode. And I understand that it is very early in the game. You don't know too much about me, but this is exactly the reason why I got into coaching and into fitness. In a sense, fitness saved me from my eating disorders, but then keep in mind that every pattern or behavior that I adopted while starving myself or purging foods, I translated in other areas of my life. And recently I was talking to a friend and we were discussing about this topic, and something really interesting came to my mind where I was saying, when I finished, I quit, I broke up with bulimia, which was to me the final boss of this. And I'll touch more into details as to what happened. And of course, trigger warning, it's going to be graphic. It's not cute. These stories are not meant to be cute, but we're making it fun and light together because we have the capacity to do so. And I appreciate you taking the time to listening to this. And I'm sure that I can bring at least one piece of information that will potentially spark something in your heart, whether it is positive, enlightening, or triggering. All these things lead to more and more understanding of self, more and more understanding of self. And with that being said, let's take a little sip and dive into this. Cheers. So like I said recently, I was talking to a friend and I was explaining, I feel like when I broke up with bulimia, and that was literally a choice, it was a point of non-return. The inside of my mouth was falling apart, burning. I would eat pineapples and I would feel the burn because there was too much acid reflux going through the mouth every single damn day, 3 times a day. Call it what you want. And at some point, what really got me out of it was asking myself, how much do you hate yourself? And what will it take for you to get out of that negative and that toxic and that dismissive mindset that you would never impose onto anybody? But when it's for yourself, though, you have no problem doing it. And I think that was the first thing that really got my attention and led me into a path of more of self-love and self-soothing and self-understanding. And so that's how my breakup happened, essentially. But what I was saying is, so in my case, I quit bulimia, which was extremely hard. And when you quit a habit, sometimes you have to quit the people around it, the external influences. You have to create a whole new environment for yourself. And so at that exact time, I moved out. I changed cities, I changed friends. And so there's ways for you to help yourself getting out of it. There's a saying that goes as follows, and it's that you can have a fish climbing a tree and the fish will feel stupid the whole time. But then if you put the fish in the water, the fish will feel amazing. And sometimes, of course, everything is in your control. You have to take responsibility for your actions in a sense, but truly help yourself to the maximum. And by that, I mean, if you need to change your environment, if you need to change what is around you and how you feel, and bring novelty so your brain can also associate a new start, a new space with a firm decision of I'm quitting these eating disorders and I'm willing to ask for help and I'm willing to let it out and I'm willing to sometimes trip back into it. But I know that I haven't failed because I got back into it for a second. It's just like climbing the stairs. I tripped, I fell, and I'm coming right back up right now. And so these things, these moments of deception, these moments of feeling inadequate or feeling like if I trip that one single time, it means like it's over. I failed. Might as well just go all in back. These moments are where you are being tested, and it is on you. And I'm saying that with love because I know that, God damn, it was hard for me. But if it was hard for me, it will be hard for everybody, and we can make it through by talking about these things and letting you know it was hard for me too. And it's okay that you're feeling that it's hard because this is the ultimate test. When you fall back into a habit, it's to remind yourself of where are you going and how is that serving you in that. And so, biggest loop of earth that I just did here, but give me a second. So when I broke up with bulimia in that sense, in that way, where it was a firm decision, but I feel like I needed to walk you through what happened in a sense, or how I got out of it, for you to understand that it was really a breakup. I asked myself, how much do you hate yourself? What does it take for you to see your value, your potential? And how come you're not willing to show up for yourself? And how come you're doing things for yourself that you would never advise your little sister to do, your cousin to do, your friends to do, your peers to do? And how come you're okay with doing these things yourself, on yourself? What is the outcome that you want? And it's okay if the outcome that you want at that exact moment is to die. Because if you face it, then you can't run away from it. You have the answer. Now, is it true? Question yourself, is it true? Surround yourself with people that make you feel alive. What makes you feel good? What makes you feel that drive? How much drive can you have? How much harder can you push? And in 10 years from now reflect and be like, oh, that was a part of my story for a reason. It's not supposed to be easy, it's supposed to be worth it. And I strongly believe that every single survivor and warrior out there that are going through eating disorders, and I'm saying that as a reference because that's what I went through, right? Every single one of them, they have a story to tell. They have something, a gift that comes out of that. You cannot imagine the amount of compassion that you build out of these experiences, the amount of humanity, the amount of understanding, the amount of patience, the amount of resilience. And these are just few words. I'm not planning on scripting a new dictionary today, so I'm going to stop it there. But I think you understand the power of what I'm saying right now. It's just that this is a moment in time. It's a part of your story. But hey, here's a catch. So breaking up with bulimia and eating disorders was hard enough on itself. But when I did, I thought that it was the thing and not the place that it was coming from. Hence why I said, what do you want out of these things? Why are you purging? Why are you not eating? Look at the root, not just the tree, because there's something much deeper. And so here's the catch. I break up with bulimia thinking that, okay, I don't want to hurt myself anymore, etc., etc. Or I'm willing at least to try to live and see. I want to live. Let's see. I'm going to try my hardest, and this is going to be my battle, and let's see. And so by quitting bulimia and purging, these extremes behaviors did not just disappear. They did not just go away, even though it wasn't with food anymore. And I'll come back to the relationship that one can have with food, meaning having a strong attachment, feeling a way, feeling like this is my partner. I'm so excited for this thing. I want it, and feeling it. Almost more passionate about a sandwich than another person, or a certain type of cookie. Or wanting something so bad, obsessing over that. And then once you get it, it's like, oh, I needed to not do that. Why did I do that? This is the perfect replica of a toxic relationship. You want something, you know it's not good for you. Is it really though? Or is it just you trying to control the narrative for an outcome that at the end of the day you have no control over? You are not God. You're not supposed to be God. You're not supposed to know everything. You're not supposed to control everything. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're not supposed to be almighty and have everything under control and know exactly what you're going, where you're going, why you're doing the things that you're doing. I'm saying it and I'm exhausted. Just saying these things, I'm exhausted. So I can 100% understand why someone would feel trapped into a relationship with food. But hear me out. Hear me out before I jump into that real quick. Quitting bulimia. Thinking, okay, it's not happening anymore. I got out of it. Great. I'm not in these situations anymore. I do not have an eating disorder anymore. The first time I had these thoughts, I wasn't able to see that I was recreating the same patterns of control, of wanting everything to go my way, wanting every little single thing to be exactly the way I wanted it to be in my work. That's just an example. At school, my work, and my family, in other places of my life, this behavior would then come to light. And I only realized that years after. It's only after a good burnout, few depressions, that I looked at everything and went like, wow, you definitely were not purging anymore. You weren't counting your calories anymore. Great. But you were obsessing over the smallest little details and trying to perform and to be perfect in so many other areas of your life. And that's not fair to you. Because once again, who would you force to realistically act the way that you did for yourself and show up the way that you did for yourself? What is that about? How come you don't like yourself? Be honest with yourself. Purging, not purging. And that's where I feel like I have something to bring to the table on that topic, not because I have the most information on eating disorders or body dysmorphia, but because I noticed fairly quickly that this is a pattern, hence why it will come back into other areas of your life, even after you stopping doing the purging or restricting. And for some people, I think it is important to acknowledge that for some people, it will never go away. But I'm talking to people that can hear that message and somehow have so much drive and so much perfectionism in them that the whole idea of having an eating disorder makes them uncomfortable, because they know that the regular person should not be struggling with that. Something is deficient in them, or something feels weird or special, or a bit of shame towards that. And you want to get rid of that. You want to feel normal. You want to be accepted. You want to enjoy a meal with your friends without going to the bathroom at the end and paying the waiter right after and thinking, I just spent $55 for nothing. And the experience that I had with my friends is not even genuine, because I'm not even able to tell them what is going on. And so these behaviors will make you question the rest of your life, the rest of the nature of your relationships, the level of authenticity that you have. And I'm talking to the people that are so perfectionists, that want everything to go in a certain way so much, then even having an eating disorder feels like, oh, it's something that I need to solve. It is something that I need to solve. It is not something that I want to promote. It is not something I want to talk about. I am ashamed. I cry myself to sleep about it. I'm sick of it. Somehow, a part of me doesn't really want to die, or else I think I would have done it before, realistically. This is a personal opinion, by the way. And I know this can be extremely triggering, hearing these sentences on this topic. Keep in mind, this is my experience, and in no way or shape or form am I saying that everybody goes through these questions. But this is definitely what happened for me. I was going to bed thinking, well, what are we doing here? What is the goal? What do you want? And the funny thing is, and it's not even funny, but we're going to make it a bit laughable, because it's me, I can take it. When I got the body that I wanted, because it happened, it really happened. And if you go on my Instagram page, and if you go on my TikTok, if you go on my social medias, you'll see I am still pretty fit and I'm still pretty healthy. But today, the difference is I am hosting my body. Being trapped in a toxic relationship with food, being trapped in the body that you feel is not yours, you can't associate with it. When I was the thinnest, when I was the skinniest, because that was the goal, I could not even be a host in my body. I did not even have the energy to own my body and to have fun with it. Because that shame, that guilt of like, I know what I do to get that body. I know what's going on behind the scene. I know you guys don't even know and notice that I'm going to purge in the bathroom every single time we're eating. That shame and that guilt, that's not something that makes you want to expose yourself there. And that's where I was saying, if you go on my Instagram, if you go on my profiles on social media, I'm all in, baby. This is my body. I'm in it. And I'm going to ride or die for this body. I'm going to do anything that I can to keep it healthy. Number one, healthy. Numero uno, just healthy. And so for it to be healthy, for some people, being healthy will be counting calories, losing weight, doing more jogging, doing more physical exercises, doing more of this, more of that. But sometimes for you, it is the absence of doing things, because you are doing too much. You are putting all this pressure on yourself. You are putting all this weight, emotional attachment to your looks, yet you get in that shape. You can't even feel for it because you know what's going on behind the scene. You don't feel proud. You realize that it changes nothing. You don't have energy because you're eating small meals, 1 almond per day, 1 grape per day. And this is not me spitting whatever comes in my head. It is me speaking my experience. And I hope you're realizing that most people would never guess back then that that was my behavior. And so there is such a thing as being connected emotionally to food. And for some people, being healthier means the absence of things, removing things, and not adding this new routine, this new 3 steps, whatever, this new that, this new little stretching, this new little yoga, this new little whatever. Sometimes it is removing the things rather than adding, piling up, blah, 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 because you've put too much on yourself. You've been doing so much for so long and for so little result, because other people's validation don't even cut it if you don't have your own. Let's be real. Because if that's the only point, you always need to be surrounded by people, and that is really exhausting. Even social media gets exhausting because it's a performance most of the time. And so I have a lot of advice for people that maybe are in that situation, were in that situation, or trying to get out of that situation, or just realizing that, hey, maybe the thing is not that I need to transform my habits, change my life, do this and that, and be extra aware of all the steps I must take. Maybe for me right now, the answer is to strictly remove. The absence of things is a thing on itself. Adding and piling up, this app that helps you track this, track that. Of course, everybody has their unique experiences. And once again, I want to reinforce that everything I spoke about today was strictly my experience. And I hope that maybe one thing resonated with you, maybe 2. And if that's the case, do not shy away from adding me on social media. Visit my website for more information. All the links will be down below. And thank you so much for joining me today on this first official podcast vibe episode where I discuss the real things. And I hope you bad bitches at home are having an amazing holiday. Merry Christmas to all my beautiful babies, my little precious. Cheers to that. We're going to make it through. This year wasn't easy. The next one won't be either, but keep in mind, it is not supposed to be easy. It is supposed to be worth it. See you soon.